Hi everybody, welcome and thank you for joining me today. First off, I'm going to jump right in by heavily criticizing one of our own. I promised you no holds barred anymore, so here we go. Now look, I like Dan Whitten. Always watched him and him alone on GB News. But his royal reporting on Outspoken, his own channel, truly sucks. I mean, watch this shit. This clickbait title. Dying King risks life in the USA. Bullshit, Dan. And you know it. Number one, if the king was dying right now, he would not have taken off for the United States. Number two, we are all dying, whether you're 6, 16, 60 or 96. Every day we live, we are one day closer to the day we die. Number three, the king stopped chemotherapy months ago. We do not know what treatment he is on now, if any. But he is traveling with a medical team who will give him what he needs and who will act immediately should anything go wrong. He is also traveling with a full contingent of highly trained bodyguards, and the Trump administration will make sure there are further layers of security around him. Now, Dan knows this. This is not his first round of royal reporting, and not his first royal visit either. This is clickbait, and at the same time, disrespect towards his viewers, whom he clearly thinks are morons, really honestly and stupid enough to actually fall for this kind of title. Stop it, Dan. You are better than that. You are good enough and entertaining enough without all the melodrama and clickbait. Stop it, because I, for one, will not go watch a video with such a fake, overly dramatic clickbait title. And I'm sure there are others, just like me, who want to hear facts and who are not interested in the melodrama anymore. However, there is something I agree with Dan on. The Queen's courtiers, likely on instruction from Her Majesty, did not share anything about her health with the public, which, although we could see the Queen was not doing well, was indeed perfectly okay. In all that time, the Queen was hospitalized, I think, if memory serves me right, once in all of that time. Whatever treatment she received behind closed doors at one of her castles. So although we could see her losing weight and shrinking, we were blissfully unaware of what was going on behind the scenes. We knew Charles had already taken the business end of things over about 5 to 10 years prior. So we know everything was still plodding along as usual. The only thing most of us royalists knew about the Queen's health was that she had severe issues with her eyesight and was nearly blind, particularly in her one eye. So when the Queen passed away, it was, well, not exactly a surprise, but it was not a matter of prolonged speculation either. The Queen went with the dignity she maintained throughout her life. Charles, however, decided on a different route. I'm guessing that it was pure coincidence that Catherine and Charles landed themselves in hospital at the same time. I did hear that Charles went to hospital for a planned procedure and that Catherine's illness was sort of an emergency, although published that it was a planned procedure. Yes, in a sense, it was a planned operation after an emergency doctor's visit. She had not been feeling well for quite a while, but when she finally spoke out, it was indeed already serious. So I would call it, that kind of emergency, although the procedure was indeed planned after the emergency happened. And I mean, those of us who are mothers or grandmothers will indeed recognize this sort of thing. I mean, how many times have you said, oh, I'll go to the doctor after Susie's recital or after Tommy's exams? We have all done that, and I personally landed myself in ICU in my early 40s because of doing it. Now, I guess it was also coincidence that it leaked that both had some form of cancer. No, it wasn't. Catherine was not going to say anything. In her mind and that of her staff, she was going in for this operation, and 3 months later she would be back at work. Saying she had a stomach operation was going to be good enough. Everyone with half a brain knows that any surgery in the stomach area takes a while if you want to avoid hernias, etc., etc. But unfortunately, it did not work out that way, and Catherine could not return after 3 months. The rumour mill, fueled by Megan's nastiest sugars and likely Megan herself, was like a freight train, and everything from she needed plastic surgery because William beat her up to her being dead and replaced. I mean, the weirdest, most disgusting stuff surfaced, and it was even employed as jokes and memes, and finally Catherine had to admit to receiving treatment because of precancerous cells which were found during the first operation. In the meantime, poor little Charlie boy was also in hospital, also had a procedure, and lo and behold, there was also cancer found in him too. On February the 5th, 2024, Buckingham Palace announced that Charles had cancer, and although he'd gone to hospital for a prostate procedure, that it was not prostate cancer. And in March, just over a month later, Catherine had to announce her cancer because there had been a breach of confidential files at the hospital. Now, it is my opinion that the King is currently receiving BCG on a 6-weekly basis, or then 3 weekly top-ups every 6 weeks. Or so I have been told, okay? I'm not this clever. I don't know anything about medicine and medical things, so I'm telling you what I've been told. I do know that Charles has high blood pressure, and I heard a rumor that he may be diabetic. Likely that is what they were talking about when they spoke about another medical issue which the courtiers are more concerned about than his actual cancer. Now, please, trigger warning, or warning, warning, warning. I do not know this for a fact. I hear these things from people or persons loosely connected to the palaces. Again, like with Catherine's cancer, it is something my best royal contributor or the one closest to the royals will only say, sorry, I won't tell you even if I knew. My opinion, however, and regardless of whether my friend close to the royals would say anything or not, which he won't, it is still my opinion that this information I received is likely true or possibly true, or so AI tells me. AI indeed tells me that the visible symptoms would fit with this information. Now, if you look at Charles and how he walks, it is my opinion that his feet are as swollen as his hands are. Okay? But again, never mind. I'm no doctor, and I do not even pretend to be. I did, however, after getting this information, Google BCG, and it is a drug they treat TB, tuberculosis, with. There is, however, a note saying that it is used for certain cancer treatments as part of a maintenance plan. So, indeed, it does fit with what I was told, and hence the reason why I'm saying it is possibly true or possibly correct. Anyway, I've now really taken a detour and digressed onto a whole other path. What I was going to say and where I was heading to is that it is my opinion that if Catherine was not sick at the same time as Charles, Charles would have followed his mother's path and would not have announced his cancer. But, like it is his way and has been all of his life, he could not allow Catherine more attention and empathy than himself. Now, I heard a certain young man is a bit annoyed with me, or shall I rather call it exasperated. In other words, intensely irritated and frustrated with me, because I'm often so close to the truth, and I'm actually just talking about it without much of a filter. Also, because I'm so stubborn and not easily sidetracked. Well, after this one, he may feel even worse, or it is likely that he will be more irritated. Anyway, Charles is the ultimate drama queen, the instructor whom even Meghan Markle can learn from when it comes to making every drama about himself. I mean, how many of you are aware that Charles, after Diana's death and funeral, went to Mount Athos in Greece to find solace and meditate? Indeed, instead of spending time with his sons and helping them through their loss and grief, he went to sulk on Mount Athos. When his father passed away, he went into seclusion in their farmhouse in Wales. Now, sorry, I cannot even figure out a pronunciation for the place, so you can just go look it up, I guess. After Lord Mountbatten's death, Charles sought seclusion in Broadlands, Mountbatten's home, for a period of mourning. Now, although it is indeed customary to give royals a few days off after a death in the family, a period of mourning, it is always Charles, and only Charles, who makes a big hoo-ha about it, who leaves his children and later his wife behind to spend a period of mourning and quiet reflection, or as he calls it, splendid isolation. And while I'm on this page of this particular book where I looked this up in, let me just mention something else. As a side note, nothing to do with the topic. We are all balking at Harry speaking about the royal family being the family Meghan never had. Remember? Where did he get those phrases from? Well, from his father, who spoke about Lord Mountbatten and called him the grandfather I never had, and his most influential advisor. Well, yes, I mean, Prince Andrew of Greece and Denmark died 4 years before Charles's birth, and he was only 3 years old when the Queen's father died. But his most influential advisor. I mean, he could just as well have said, fuck off, Philip. Anyway, whoa, I keep digressing. So Charles broke the mold, or the unspoken rule of royalty, and told us that he had cancer. However, it is my opinion that once you actually give that kind of information, you have to continue to be honest and truthful. Once you said you have cancer, you need to inform the public of the broader details. I'm not saying the nitty-gritty, but the broader details. Because if you don't, you get what you are getting now. A king who, like a friend of mine said, is perpetually or constantly on his deathbed, with a PR he uses it daily by saying, "Today is the day the king dies, so have compassion and let him do what he wants." Okay, not exactly like that, but you know what I mean. So yes, my friends, it may sound harsh, but I think in the meantime the public have indeed grown tired of the king who does not die, but instead goes to Germany and France and Rome and now to the United States of America, and whose PR appears to use the illness card for a cure for everything that could possibly ail the monarchy. Now, am I right again, sir? But don't you worry about Charles, okay? He'll just wave my shit off and turn his back on it and continue doing what he's doing. I'll chat about the state visit after tonight's banquet. It is still my opinion that this royal visit should not have happened. Not while America is, for all practical intents and purposes, still at war with another country. Also, please explain why Charles extended a special invitation to meet with Zoran Momdani. Is it because of what I think it is? Rather ironic, I think, that he invited Zoran Momdani for the wreath-laying ceremony at the memorial site of the World Trade Center. Oh well, we'll see what happens. Momdani's office could not confirm by yesterday whether he would actually attend, but today it appears that he will. So there's that. But we will chat about all of that tomorrow. So until then, please take good care of yourselves, and stay safe. Bye.